Balcone's first ever year-round bourbon was an inspiration. It all had to work together. A blend of carefully selected ingredients, Texas-sized pot stills, and creative people determined to find the absolute best way to usher a new whiskey along. When you discover how it pairs with a meaningful moment, suddenly the feeling of drinking great whiskey becomes a whole lot more.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Whiskey Neat, spirited conversations with interesting people. I am your host, Kristopher Hart. Now, I apologize, folks. Normally this time of year, we are on hiatus from the Whiskey Social. We usually get one kind of couple-week period right after the social to take a hiatus. And we have been, unfortunately, no excuses. Long story short, we're back. Glad to be back. Glad to have Todd back today. We're also featuring Houston native Q Egenti. Q is a stand-up comic who also hosts his own show called Standing Room Only. You can find it on Facebook and hopefully very soon YouTube. This week we just decided to sit down. I've got some boozy gummies that I featured on my Instagram account that I thought we could test out live on camera. See how that goes. And just have a conversation, catch up. So we've got some things planned coming up in the next few weeks. But to get started, we do have one very special ad sponsor that is very important and near and dear to my heart. And this week's episode is brought to you by Hamama Onions. That's right. Hamama's countertop onion kit grows up to 10 feet of onions every week. If you love onions like me and my best friend Mike, you will love this green onion kit. Check out Hamama, HAMAMA.com, and use the promo code SPRING20 to save 20% off your countertop onions today. Absolutely dead serious, real sponsor ad read, I promise. This is not a joke. Without further ado, please welcome Todd Grube and Q Egenti. Cheers. Q, thanks for coming, buddy.
What's up, man? Finally here at the show. I feel great. I feel like I'm in the same show at Matthew McConaughey, so it's like I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm saying, who did you couldn't get? You couldn't get Obama. It's like, what Africa do I know? Oh, Q Egenti. Let me get him.
Well, he is my favorite African.
Exactly.
He's everybody's favorite African.
Exactly.
I actually reached out to Obama once. And
you did?
Yeah, they have two. I found this out that I don't know if it's commonplace for all presidents, but they have 2 rounds of their media folks that you have to get approved by. Mm-hmm. So I got through one, and they gave me another email to go through, and then I never heard anything back.
You don't get the Obama text like I do, where it says
Obama text.
It says Barack Obama.
Oh,
That's
like from
an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
You just go doot.
No, but somehow
That's Obama texted me.
Somehow Trump got a hold of my email address, and I keep unsubscribing. And it's like whatever thing he took over since he was out of office, he's got this new thing he's doing called the 45th or something. Mm-hmm. And my inbox just spam every day about how he's fighting the ongoing fight to send him money. I'm like, it's over. What are we doing? So anyways, well, listen, I'm glad you're here. And I know that you're not much of a drinker.
Oh, I drink. I just don't drink whiskey. I drink. It depends. But my whiskey threshold is pretty low, so I can't go too crazy with whiskey. But I do drink whiskey.
Well, I think people get a little intimidated because we're not taking shots. We're not usually going.
Just sipping. Cool.
We're just sipping. We're just talking. I actually brought something I thought would be fun. I wanted this for the Katie Sackhoff interview, but LaShawn is in the midst of opening up her shop at Abenak's new distillery. LaShawn made these boozy gummies. They're old-fashioned gummies made with whiskey. So I figured you could have a gummy.
Oh, boy.
Now, from what I understand, I think every 2 gummies is half an ounce. So it's not that much. It's not there's no THC in it. You're not going to get shit-faced. You can just have a gummy, eat with confidence. There's some cinnamon in there. Mm-hmm. Some candy.
Yeah, because I'm on probation. I can't do no stuff like that right now. Can't go too crazy.
Well, I figured as we talk through today's episode, we're going to talk about your show, Standing Room Only.
Yep.
And we're going to do today's episode in the same similar format so people can kind of gauge what your show's about.
Okay.
We're going to cover some recent topics, some recent news, give our feedback, and go from there. I was on your show last week.
Yes, you were Thursday.
I had an unbelievably good time. A lot of camaraderie between me and I believe Carlos.
Carlos Wallace, yeah.
Yeah, so Carlos seems like a really good guy.
He's a great guy.
Both came from similar backgrounds, grew up Pentecostal.
Oh, I'm about to say, it's like, are you black? It's like, yeah, we grew up in similar background. You know what I'm saying?
I don't see color.
I identify as a black man sometimes.
No.
Okay.
We both grew up Southern
Pentecostal,
Pentecostal, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's from Houston.
No, he's from East Texas. I forgot what part of East Texas he's from.
So UPC is a United Pentecostal Church. Is usually a very combined organization where you go visit each other's churches. It's kind of like the Masons or any kind of fraternal brotherhood where they all know each other. Whereas some Baptist churches don't associate with other Baptist churches. It's a different thing altogether.
So is that the one that the people ride goats on there or what?
No. There is a branch of them that
tongues, right?
speak in tongues. There's a branch of them that dance with snakes.
Oh, like the movie.
Yep.
The movie with Robert Duvall.
What's
it called?
The disciple,
yeah.
Not Disciple. It's called
the apostle.
No. Jeez, what's the name of
He plays a preacher.
plays a preacher in the movie. It's like
Yeah.
it was like a really famous movie in the mid-90s.
Yeah, well, if you're looking for the,
The stat guy, he could pull it up.
They talked about it in Blue.
I think it's the apostle,
that movie
which
Blue
is
Chip.
about a Pentecostal. Is that Robert Duvall?
Is it Apostle? There you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
yeah,
Apostle.
called it. Yeah, yes, that's a Pentecostal movie. I no longer identify as Pentecostal, but my upbringing was very, very that. Women couldn't cut their hair. They're not supposed to wear makeup. One of my I used to joke quite a bit with my wife. One of the best Bible verses is 1 Timothy 2:12, which is, I suffer not a woman to teach her to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence. And it would be like a fun joke to kind of, misogyny is always funny. But
Wow.
we basically covered some topics on your show, and Carlos would follow up, and he seemed like a really cool dude. I mean, a lot of people seemed really great. Becky was awesome. Loved Becky.
Becky was great. Great.
So, yeah, check out the show. Have you thought more about moving it over to what we talked about?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I just actually figured out, it's crazy because you mentioned it. I figured out I use StreamYard, and StreamYard can do like multiple sites at the same time.
Sure.
So we'll see if they can do YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So I'll probably have to do that. So I'm going to look it up.
So I did Barry Laminek's show yesterday, and I noticed it's the same. I think it's the same thing that you're using,
StreamYard?
but he does it for YouTube. So I feel like it'll jive.
I hope so, because I want to have multiple streams going with the show, because I feel like I have something going on with that show.
Oh, the show's great,
I
man!
thought
I'm
it was
telling
good.
you.
It's the first time I watched it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I saw Chris's link and I watched.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about it. People don't understand how it came about. It literally came about of just me just being bored at home. The actual show started April 5th. And I don't know if you can curse on here or not.
Yeah, you can cuss.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the show used to be called Comics Talking Shit. It was like basically me just... Andrew Youngblood was my
Right.
first guest, actually. We stumbled across StreamYard, and I was like, who do I know I could talk to at 11 o'clock at night? And of course, Youngblood.
Youngblood.
He's a vampire.
awake. Yeah.
So I hit him up and I was like, hey, could you talk for like an hour? He was like, yeah. And we just talked for an hour. And when I got off the site, it hit me, go, yeah, I'm just going to interview all my comic friends that I liked. And we just going to talk shit for an hour or two, whatever. And that's what I did. I started interviewing people that I liked. Next time I decided, you know what, I'm going to be overzealous and I'm going to interview Paul Rodriguez. And he goes, yeah, I'll do it. Then I had Paul Rodriguez, I had Ali Sadiq, I had Matthew Broussard, I had Coco Brown. All these people that have been on Comedy Central and had specials, they started doing the Comics Talking Shit. And I realized I have a momentum with the show, but I can't call it Comics Talking Shit because I'm trying to get sponsors.
Yeah.
The shit's gonna fucking fuck it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it always 9 people? Is that what it was on that last episode?
So originally it was just me one-on-one just talking to comics.
Uh-huh.
Then what happened was I double booked somebody and I just had 2 other people as well on the show. So I said, let me just make it a panel. Then when George Floyd's situation happened on May 25th, it just changed the dynamic of my show because I couldn't be funny that week because everything you turned on was about George Floyd.
Yeah.
So I just asked the comics, I said, hey man, I don't feel like being funny today. Is it okay we talk about something serious? And they were like, yeah, we're down. And we just turned into a panel show, and we just started talking about stuff that affected us. And I had some black comics on there. We started talking about depression in the black community and stuff like that. And then I realized, okay, this show could be something more. And that's when I changed it to Standing Room Only, being ironic.
Which, by the way, is a great name.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean,
we're sitting down the whole time, and we're called Standing Room Only, so it's just being crazy with it. But yeah, so that's when that morphed into a show. And shout out to Mistina too, by the way. She's my phenomenal co-host. She's
amazing.
My show, the Je ne sais quoi, that feel.
She
like,
brings
I think
some class
people go
to it.
My show just to see her sometimes. I'm like, I don't think they're here for the show. I think they just want to see her.
She had a good set of lungs on her too. She broke out into song.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Well, we were talking about Aretha Franklin, and yeah, I just had a really good time. So we covered some recent events on that show. I figured we could do the same today, and maybe inspire a few people to.
What if I just say I don't want to talk about current event today? I'm tired of it.
Do the other thing. So right off the bat, I did bring you a whiskey glass. I figured
Nice.
you can have your choice between the fancy one, the tuliped one, or you can have a regular rocks glass. I know young blood. So a lot of my comic friends would rather just drink out of a glass.
Yes, we drink out of glass. What do you drink out of?
Well, these normally little
What is
fancy
that?
ones. It's called a Glencairn.
I have big hands. I don't think
Hey.
I would look like Thanos with a little cup.
Same here. I mean, you can't. Your pinky ends up hanging off the bottom. But there's.
I'll use that. That's fine.
I mean, this one here was meant for you because I know he only drinks out of that.
Oh, sweet. So I'll use
Yep,
that.
regular glass. And let's see, what do we get you started with?
No ice, just straight
Straight
hot whiskey. Perfect. It's like 90 degrees outside.
These are all high proof. What about the Irish whiskey?
You can start on a little Irish whiskey, a little easy. I think you talked about James. Was it you that talked about Jameson or something? Someone was talking about drinking some Irish whiskey. Let's see
Well,
here.
me.
Oh, not bad. There you go.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it. There's some water there.
So all this is from Texas, right?
Nope. No. This is from Ireland. This is Irish
Oh,
whiskey.
this is actually from
Yeah.
Ireland.
Yep, this Waterford. They sent me their Dunbell edition.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So if you've never drank whiskey straight, what I normally tell people is just take a small sip, keep it in the front of your mouth until you start drooling a little, like salivating, and then it should be easy to drink from then on out. Just a small sip, and leave it in your mouth. Don't swallow right away. It'll start tingling, getting the mouth worked up.
I feel like mouthwash.
But you leave it there long enough, your mouth will adjust. Oh yeah, my bad, man. I poured
Right, you forgot your co-host.
I poured our guests something, but didn't pour you some. Thanks for coming, Todd.
No, it's good.
I can't wait till Mike hears the intro. I've read
Shit.
the onion read. Yeah.
Up on you.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's the proof on this one?
100 proof. They're all 100 proof.
Still something.
Yeah. About
And this is straight from Ireland.
straight from Ireland.
Yeah,
I mean, they gotta import it and everything.
We'll work down the line. This
And I
one
think
is
you'll like that one.
122 proof.
That's Texas, okay.
Yeah, but that is.
Honey.
We aged 50 gallons of honey in that barrel, so it's a real sweet.
That's too sweet.
So you've been doing the show under the new format for about a year.
Yeah, so actually, Comics Talk Show was April 5th. Standard Molly's anniversary is going to be November 3rd.
Okay, so about 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
6 months, and you've
We
had.
started our first show election night because, what's the perfect
Yeah.
start talk show on election night? So we did like a 3-hour show of just different people. We had like maybe rotating 10 panel, and we just talked about the election and seeing
How often is
updates
the show?
of the election. Huh?
Is it weekly or? Yeah.
So we do it Monday, Thursday. So we just got real overzealous on that one. We were like, yeah, election night. Well, America doesn't know what the hell we want to talk about. But people actually watched. We had like the most views ever. We had like over 3,000 views that day because people were like, let's see what these people are talking about the election. Because people were just on their phones or watching on TV. So it was so captivating. I'm just glad that we were part of that. It was awesome.
Well, and for those who don't know, you're actually quite the stand-up comic too. I mean, you've been headlining one of the the idea of putting yourself out there on a show or as a stand-up or anything where you're promoting yourself, you're gonna get some people who are tired of it or I hate to say the word haters, but it happens.
Yeah, you're gonna get that.
You are one of the most fun people to follow because I absolutely love your updates. You talk about booking headline gigs. I mean, you just had what was her name from? She was just in. I thought of you when I saw her in the recent Coming to America. She was just on your show.
Lunel.
Lunel.
Yeah, Lunel.
And yeah, you're one of the most fun comics to actually keep updated on, and you're killing it right now.
Appreciate it, man.
You got some dates you want to throw out there for those listening?
Talk about like comedy-wise
Sure.
or talk show-wise?
Sure, well, all the above.
Because I have so much stuff going on. I might as well be Jamaican. I have so much stuff going on. No, I just have. Obviously, I had my show. I have a show Saturday, but that sold out. That was crazy. I sold that show out in 2 weeks. I put it out. It was sold out in 2 weeks. I was like, wow, I've never sold out that quick. Usually, I sell out like maybe the day of the show, but I sold out like maybe 2 weeks before the show started. I sold out. I was like, so that was crazy. So I have a show Saturday at Christian Tailgate, White Oaks, but that sold out. But another show I'm working on right now, if they want to see me in Houston, I will be April 23rd. I will be at this place called Cowboys and Indians. And not Indian like Native American, but Indians like Indian food.
That's
Sure.
a restaurant. That place is in Montrose.
I don't know where it's at. I've never been there.
Yeah, it's in Montrose.
It's called Cowboys and Indians, but
Cowboys Indians.
But they're not.
It's
your initial
Texas and
thought
Indian.
is that
Native
that's
American.
offensive.
It's not Native American.
Yeah,
It's
but-
actually from India, the
Indian
country
food.
India. But they fuse it with Texas food. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's good.
doing that show April 23rd. Show starts at 8, I think, I want to believe. So if you want to check me out, I'll be there doing that. And Secret Group's open back up again.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
May 29th.
I miss
And
those guys.
Me and Youngblood have a show called Unbelievable Stories. And that show premieres June 11th.
I think I saw you at Secret Group before, and I just sent a picture to Chris because their marquee, it just says no.
No, yeah,
Yeah. It was,
yeah.
it's owned by comics, so we have like a horrible sense of humor.
For those who aren't aware, Governor Hot Wheels, Greg Abbott, basically announced that the state was opening back up, and the owners of the Secret Group just made it clear to everybody, no, we're not opening yet. We're going to keep it closed.
Well, because there's another establishment on that block that has been wild the whole time.
Warehouse Live or
No.
You talking about Chapman Kirby?
Yeah.
yeah.
You can say the name. yeah, Chapman Kirby.
I
yeah.
live right down the block from there.
Oh, really? So they just have like a normal entrance
Oh
of
man,
people?
it's been lines of people
yeah.
with no mask for months.
Wow.
Going way back. Like I would drive by and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, the owner's kind of like a dickbag, I heard. So.
Oh really?
That's what I heard. I don't know. But
Yeah.
That's what I heard about it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, so to kind of jump into it, there are a couple things I figured we can talk about. I don't know if you guys saw, but Prince William on the monitor there just won Sexiest Bald Man Alive.
Of course he did. He paid for it, too. It's not like he paid for that one.
I mean, do you think he needs to pay
That's a
for
bad
it?
bald to me.
Yeah,
That's
he's
a
rich.
bad bald,
it's-
man.
How
He's
can you be-
rich.
when you have the thinning hair bald, that's not how.
No,
is that the
you
sexiest
can't
bald?
have.
That's what I'm saying. If he wasn't a prince, do you think they would
Yeah,
acknowledge that conversation?
No.
They wouldn't.
Well, I think
No.
that screams I've got enough money to fix my attractiveness, right? So I mean, it's like Todd. Todd is a very wealthy man. All of a sudden, he's got swagger, right?
He's like, she's like, he shakes it like, nah, that's not real. No, but for real though, I think he got the little fake ass Jason Statham thing going.
well, here's the thing. Jason
did you
Statham
just
is
say
bald.
I'm an unabtractive person.
I
I was very unattractive, and then
No.
and then I made money.
Yeah, no. All I'm saying is that you can't be labeled the sexiest man alive and be an active, like that's an aggressive level of male pattern baldness. At least Jason Statham shaves his head bald.
Right.
If he were to shave his head, maybe he can pull it off.
Yeah, but if he does that, he would look like Lex Luthor from the Smallville.
But for some women, that's sexy,
I don't
right?
think the royal family would let him.
Like,
Yeah, he would
Dwayne-
look like an evil genius. You don't want him
Yeah.
to go bald. all the way.
they're already painted as
They will
the
scare.
evil.
He will scare everybody. Like, oh, what's wrong with Prince Williams? Why is he bald? Is he auditioning for a James Bond movie? It'd be weird. He doesn't need to do that.
You just reminded me. I know this isn't as current, but did you watch the Oprah interview with?
I did not. I refuse to watch it.
Why? I'm interested.
I refuse to watch that kind of stuff because I'm like, why do we care? Why do we?
What was the interview?
The royal family.
Oh no,
when Harry
You didn't
and
watch it?
no.
Meghan Markle.
Meghan
talked
Markle.
to-
So this is
Oprah.
why I think it is important to care. Is I think it's fair to say that especially after watching it, that they make it pretty apparent that race was an issue. Wouldn't it be important to highlight that sort of thing?
But dude, why would we care though? Again, why do we care? It's a royal family. It's not an American family. If put it like this, it was the family from Zamunda, I would care. But it's a
Right.
royal family. We beat them in the Civil War, didn't we? Did we beat them in the Civil War? I don't care about that stuff. We beat them in the Revolutionary War, so we don't have to worry about stuff like that. That's why we got rid of them. We didn't want to pay taxes or listen to the Queen bullshit. So that's what happened. So why do we have to listen to them tell us about, oh my God, and she married a rich white guy. Shocker. Of course they're going to have racist people there.
Sure.
There's no reason why she should be shocked about it. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe I was so devastated. Yeah, because you're married to wealth. They have generation racism going in their family.
But okay, so here's
She knew what she was getting herself into.
Sure, I'm sure
She
she
just
was.
wanted us to feel bad for her, like, oh my God, Megan, you're
But shouldn't we
you're
feel
so
bad?
brave. You're so brave.
That's what I'm saying. Like, shouldn't we feel bad? The idea, all the demonization of white people for the past whatever, all of the bad things we've done historically, was started there. I mean, they've colonized more countries.
That's what I'm saying.
South Africa. I mean, they've done more to do bad things. Like, shouldn't we want to talk about these things?
We shouldn't care about that. Again, she's going to be rich for the rest of her life. She got money. She's good. Why do we care about that kind of? That kind of stuff is stupid to me. Now, if she was a maid, then the queen was. Well, I know it's a queen that said it for sure. By the way, the queen said that. It's got to be the queen. She's 94 years old. She got to be the one that said that. But she probably said it like casually, and nobody caught on to it. She probably was like this.
about the color of the baby.
Yeah, she was like, hey, Megan, would you like coffee? And she was like, oh, yeah. Would you like cream or no cream? Oh, by the way, what's the color of your baby? That's some weird question. She's like, what did you just ask me about my baby? Oh, I just wanted to know what color the baby was. So that's what I think. She said in the conversation, and Megan probably got mad about that. Subtle racism. But again, if she was the maid and she said that to her, yes, I'd be pissed hell. But she's the lady, she married Harry. She married Harry. She married a prince.
What's the argument? Is it that they treat her different?
Yeah, so if you watch the interview, essentially, great question, Todd.
Because
This
she's
is why I
also
love you.
as seen as a commoner, regardless of race, right? Because
Right.
he didn't marry other royalty, right?
Right.
Yeah, and he married an
that was gonna be
American.
an automatic issue with the family.
Sure.
But he's always been a rebel, though. That kid, Harris a crazy boy. That's a crazy dude. Harry's a crazy kid. You remember he was the guy that wore a Nazi jacket for Halloween.
I don't remember that.
Oh, look it up. He
Yeah.
wore a Halloween jacket for, he wore a Nazi jacket for Halloween. This was like maybe 8, 9, not that long ago. Harry's been a crazy ginger. That dude's crazy, man. That's just a crazy white boy.
So
he's always been a rebellious. He's always been a rebel. So he married a black woman just to piss off the family. What do you expect going to happen? You're going to get pushback, unfortunately. I don't think it was right that happened to her, but why do we care about the royal family? That was a family that was a royal family here in America like the Smiths. Then we should care.
Oh, I
But
see.
We don't care because it's a royal family. It's a totally different, across the pond. And a little bit, I'm telling you right now, I really want the baby to be black. I want the baby to look like Wesley Snipes black. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want the baby to look like Wesley Snipes black. So when she presents to the queen, she's like, "Here's your great granddaughter," and she just looks at the baby. She goes, "Oh my God, a black baby!" And she dies. That's how the queen dies. That's how she died. Just seeing a black Wesley Snipes looking baby. That's what I want.
The argument is, or not the argument, but the interview basically said when they found out they're having a baby, it's tradition to give them a title and to hire security because they're one. I think he's twice removed from the throne, right? So when she dies, William's next. If William dies, Harry's next. So Harry's child would technically be a prince, and they, for the first time ever, with no reason given, they weren't going to give the baby a title.
Is
Right.
that related to the fact that they left, though?
No.
They-
This caused them to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, so they weren't going to give the baby a title, and on top of that, during that conversation, like how dark there was some discussions over how dark the baby was going to look, and when they decided to leave, also they decided that there would be no security detail for the baby. So for their family, where it has always been tradition to have permanent security with them, for some reason, the royal organization was going to leave out the child.
Yeah, that's got to be the queen, right? It's got to be the queen.
Well,
it comes from the top.
Yeah, it comes
Otherwise,
from
the
the top.
queen would have said, "No, don't do that."
I'm sure it might have been the queen, but it's kind of like, I'll put it this way. If you ever go to these Comic-Cons, or if you ever, I did an interview with, I won't say who, but it was a decent sized celebrity. And I asked that person at the end of the interview, when the cameras were off, if everything was good, everything's great. I had a great time, appreciate it. That person left, and as soon as they left, I get a call from their publicist asking to cut something out. And that tells me that they don't want to be the bad guy, so they tell their publicist. Publicist doesn't mind.
That's their job.
Right. So the queen, I could see her being like, this is bullshit, and tells her handlers, and the handlers pass the news down. So it doesn't look like it comes directly from the queen, but it comes from the people that, you know what I mean? So I don't know the whole story.
I'm ready to bet my life that there's a queen that said that. Because again, like he just said, she one pulls the trigger. She's the one that passes down all that stuff. So if she doesn't approve of it, nobody will.
Right. Yeah, well, and I didn't mean to segue into this. I just saw Prince William over there, and I couldn't. It just made me think of it because I'd like to get. I haven't had a chance to discuss that interview with anybody. And one thing I wanted to highlight is you can't call this guy the sexiest bald man alive when there's Dwayne Johnson, Boris Kodjoe or Kojo?
Yeah, Boris Kojo.
Jason Statham. You mentioned Jason Statham. Vin Diesel, he's like half a chromosome away from not being allowed on that list to begin with.
If you want to go to sleep, watch Vin Diesel movies. It will put you to sleep every time.
But there's at least 50 people out there that could fit that description, and I mean, you just can't.
I think
look
maybe
like that.
a man made that decision, like a bald guy, a guy who's balding would say that's sexy. It's just like the dad bod thing, like that 100% came to be like a sexy thing because there were dudes who were like, let's put this in the magazine and say this is what women like.
Well, magazines are a bit of a dying breed too, so I wouldn't be surprised that maybe he didn't pay for it, but if they just wanted something that would be controversial enough to get the clicks.
Sure.
It's a distraction. That's all they're doing. Because he knows, because 2-3 weeks ago he says my family's not racist. Now all of a sudden he's the sexiest bald man.
I see what you're saying.
It's all about distraction, so people can go, oh, look how nice of looking guy he is. He's not racist. He looks good for a bald guy that had millions and millions and millions of dollars.
That actually lends to the theory that it might have been paid for.
That's
as
what I'm
a
saying.
distraction.
It's all about distraction. He's trying to recreate his image because, again, in England right now, people are mad at the royal family. Like, a lot of people are really on Meghan Markle's side right now. And so he's trying to do damage control by saying, hey, I'm the sexy man, right? I like fried chicken. You know, it's all set up, man. It's all part. Trust me, this is what I do for my talk show. We read stories 24/7, so I kind of know what pattern is when people try to do damage control.
Well, we talked about this when it came to, I believe, on your show, what's his name with the chin? The comedian with the big fat chin.
Oh, Jay Leno.
Jay Leno. We talked about this. I did want to get your feedback because I've noticed a trend in which people, they want to be cynical and they want to not give anyone the benefit of the doubt. How do you delineate? How do you find, so for those who aren't aware, Jay Leno recently, out of nowhere, no one asked him anything, Jay Leno came forward and apologized for jokes that he made in the past about Asian people. And we discussed this on your show. A lot of people said that he's trying to stay relevant. A lot of people feel like Jay Leno is, trying to get ahead of maybe a future cancellation.
I think that's how you get ahead of cancel culture. Everyone's always said, in some cases, all you have to do is come out and say, look, I said these things. I realize now that I was wrong. I apologize. I don't do that anymore. And that you get ahead of it, and then you're not attacked. Like where if he hadn't said that and someone decided, let's go after Jay Leno, it would have been a big story, and then his apology would have not helped him. I think that's what he was doing. Well, getting ahead of it.
The argument that I made on Q's show is I don't understand why we don't give anyone a break. We don't give anyone a break.
No.
How does someone, I've made mistakes. I've said things I shouldn't have said. I've made jokes I shouldn't have made. How do you reflect back on your... So if they get caught, everyone says, oh, he's only apologizing because he got caught.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is, what if you genuinely feel a burden and want to apologize for something?
Yeah, but I don't, like I said on my show, if any comic does a joke and people are offended by that, that's fine. I think that you're still a comic. I'm not, I don't know, it sounds crazy to say this, but the cancel culture has done some good, but they've done way more bad.
Sure.
Because now everybody's like going, oh, I want to be the one to call this person out for being a horrible person. So it's more of a trend. It's more like
it becomes
I'm the
a witch
one.
hunt.
Exactly, and it's getting to that point. It's like basically an online witch hunt. They just find this stuff. They go back from 20 years ago. I can't believe people laughed at this. That was a totally different era. People didn't think about the future. We were just thinking about now. Like, people trying to cancel Jimmy Fallon for the blackface he did about Chris Rock. And I was like, dude, he was paying homage to one of his best friends.
Right.
Chris Rock's one of his buds. So he was just joking with Chris Rock, saying, doing the Chris Rock thing. And people were like, oh, that's racist.
And Chris Rock wasn't offended.
Chris Rock said he was cool with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. These young Generation Z, they grew up in a different time, so when they see stuff, they get horrified. Like, oh, I'm so horrified by this. Horrified is a trend now. It's like, I'm so horrified by. But when they get older, they go, oh, this is stupid. Like Trevor Noah has the best day. If we kind of cancel people all the time, we don't put them in an island and say, you know what, this is where you're going to be at. They have to reform, right? They have to go, you know what, I'm sorry for what I did. Not just banish him. Some of these crazy people want them life ruined. They don't want to even do anything. Right. And I'm not on that bandwagon.
If it was your brother and your brother said something bad, you wouldn't say he's out of the family.
That's crazy to me. That's what I'm saying.
People can change and learn and realize what they did and move on from it.
Exactly. They want them to be completely eradicated from the world. And I'm like, that's, to me,
especially
in
comedy, because I always say in comedy, I feel like everything's in bounds. I mean, there is a line, of course, but the line is much further than just two people having a conversation.
Right, but
for the sake of
with
comedy.
A comedian, and I guess I'm biased, with a comedian, I think that we should have the ultimate whatever. We shouldn't have a limitation. What are we talking about? Now, if you're going to talk about abortion, that better be funny. If you're talking about rape, that shit better be fucking groundbreaking, right? But I'm not in the same position to say you can't say that, because to me, I'm being a hypocrite because I'm a comedian as well. So I can't tell another comic what to say, because to me, that's bullcrap. That doesn't work for me.
I could not agree more. And I know not everyone's going to agree with me. I actually had this discussion with my sister, Katie. I don't feel like there's a line at all for jokes.
They shouldn't. If it's funny, it's funny. But if you do something that's taboo or something that's very controversial, you're gonna get backlash. Sure. And live with it. That's why I love Anthony Jeselnik. He sticks by his guns. He crosses the line.
He leans into
Daniel
it.
Tosh crosses the line. I like all this comedy cross the line because I can never do that. I enjoy stuff like because that's what makes me like him, because you're doing something I couldn't do because I don't want the heat. That's why Jim Jeffries so good, because he talks about everything.
Bill Burr's really good at that.
Bill Burr, same thing. Yeah. They cross the line. Patrice O'Neal crosses the line.
Oh, that documentary is so good.
I love that. If you guys haven't seen it, it's called Killing is Easy. It's a phenomenal documentary.
Patrice O'Neal documentary, absolutely amazing. He leans into the asshole. He is the asshole, and people over time just learned who he was and understood him better and appreciated him, versus just always being upset, I was a little surprised Bert Kreischer didn't make an appearance in that documentary, since they seemed like they were close, but
with comedy, I think it's dangerous, because as soon as you create the line, then where it's gonna move, just like the cancel culture.
Line always moves.
Then what can you talk about? It has to be just everything is cool.
I'm not on that train. I'm sorry. I'm just why with Jay Leno, I got pissed off at Jay, because I'm like, Jay, you just virtual signaling. That's what you're doing. Just stick to your guns. You made a joke about North Korea on your monologue. Stick to that joke. That at the time you were making fun of Kim Jong-un. Leave it like that and stick to your gun. Don't go, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to offend the Asian community. Yeah, because you're trying to feel like you're a good person. You're not a good person, Jay Leno.
But how does okay, so here's the thing. And I asked this question on the show, and I think Carlos had mentioned he can do more, use his platform as an ally. I fully understand that. But if you genuinely realize that you made a mistake before other people realize it, and you just want to apologize, because if you apologize before you get caught, then you're virtue signaling. If you apologize after you've been caught, he's only apologizing because he got caught. There's no win-win there.
Right, but I'm saying my thing is coming from the source. Is Jay Leno? He's a piece of shit. When he fucked over Conan, that to me was like, yeah.
So you're taking the whole picture.
Yeah,
I see.
I'm thinking about the source, where it's coming from. Like, who is this person? Now, it was like, let's do another white guy. Jerry Seinfeld. If he did a joke about Asian people, he's a positive. I'm like, Seinfeld, good for him. He's a good guy.
Okay,
but Jay Leno is like, is some kind of...
He's a known asshole.
Exactly, and I think they something behind that. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like it's not genuine. He's like, more like, oh, I'm on the good side of justice now. Like, no, you're...
Yeah, if he was sitting at home and he felt bad about his comments and he said, it would make me feel better if I apologized, then that's genuine. But if his people called and said, hey, Jay, we went back.
But they've been calling him. I think they've been calling him out for a while, but he just never did. He just finally did it now. But I'm just like, to me, I just don't like these tweet apologies. I don't like them. If you're going to apologize, do a video. You know what I mean? Let people see your nutrition and your what do they call that word?
Your humanity.
Your humanity. They want to do a video because you're not changing the world on Twitter, right?
Right.
I didn't realize that it was a tweet. He just tweeted.
He just tweeted something out. It's like, no, fuck you. It could be anybody wrote that.
Right.
It could be even you. That's the thing.
Could have been his handlers.
Person,
probably
so
was.
Somebody wrote that for you. So if you're going to apologize, do a video. You know what I mean? And just say, hey, man, let's see how sore or how remorse you are about that joke, right? Don't send me a tweet. That's why I hate tweets, because it's like you don't know the reflection of the voice. You don't know what it means. That's why people get in trouble every time on Twitter, because it makes me happy, because you can't move mountains on Twitter. If you're going to do any conversation about something really serious, do a video, break the shit down, and people can go, you know what, that's a TED Talk. I can roll with that. Then going with a tweet, then everybody have to decipher what that means. Does that make sense?
Sure, makes perfect sense. I wanted to get your. Are you big into sports at all? You care about this Deshaun Watson thing?
Wow, I got a lot to say about that. Yeah, I think I just think that the Texans are full of shit, man.
Well, they don't know what their organization itself is infamously burning it down.
That's what I'm saying. They're full of shit. They would never have leaked this if he never wanted to leave. It's like, I really feel like it was a...
You think it's a contract
came
move?
from them?
It's a smear campaign. They're trying to just smear this man's name. That's all they're trying to do. Because legally, no woman has ever come out yet. It's just allegedly women, but they have no name behind it, nothing.
See, I don't know enough about the full situation. I know Tony Busby's involved. He's been on the show. I know we've talked. I know he's like a sensationalist in terms of, he's basically like a reality star lawyer, right? But I had a long discussion with Barry on it yesterday about this believing women and his motives, and we had a bit of basically what he was being accused of is something like 20 women, a lot of masseuses that he was basically trying to initiate something with. And we were having a little disagreement as to, well, there's a whole market for this, right?
Sure.
There is places you can go to get things taken care of, to get what he's looking for.
And if he went to those places, then there's no case.
Right.
But if he just went to a regular massage place,
invite them over to his house and positioned himself, I fully
get it. That's what I'm saying. They're just trying to kill his stock. That's all they're trying to do. So no,
and it's
team
a shame
really
because
touches him.
Everyone's going to judge him in advance. I mean, I agree, believe the women, but also he's not guilty until proven so, and it's going to take a long time, and it's screwing him over in the meantime.
I think he's screwed.
Yeah, he's screwed.
That's what they're trying to ruin his man's career,
Yeah.
because he doesn't want to play for us no more. That to me is bullshit. I can't. That drives me insane thinking about that stuff. I mean, Me Too movement is great. I love women. I'm a woman champion. I will beat the door for women and say, hey, you know what? Women are great. But they got some horrible women too out there.
Sure.
And they do ride that Me Too movement, because you're like, oh, believe every woman. And I feel like it's so chaotic. It really is, because I've seen stories, I've heard stories of women setting up guys. And women too. They set up other women too. So it's like, you can't, I think if we generalize stuff that is super, super sensitive, these is people's lives in danger. This is people's livelihood. If we just put everything in a big old vacuum and say, believe everybody, that's insane to me.
Especially with celebrities, when there's even more motive for someone to lie. And of course, it can destroy their reputation before
their life,
the case doesn't
their
even happen yet.
livelihood, everything.
Insane to me.
Case.
That's insane to me. That's like you basically saying all black people are criminals.
Right.
That's literally the generalization y'all doing. That's how dangerous that is.
Right.
We cannot do that.
So I could not agree with you more. I know that there is a huge movement right now of believe all women and not all men, which is essentially the same argument, where people are criticizing folks that say, well, not all men are bad, or not all men are this, or not all men are that. And I would like to get some we had a few fantastic women on this podcast to discuss this sort of thing, like maybe invite Dusty back and have this conversation. But our entire lives, we've been taught you're not supposed to generalize entire groups of people.
That's super dangerous. That's a very dangerous thing.
And I've known people firsthand. Now, just to be clear, we're not defending Deshaun, and we're not defending.
I'm not defending. I'm just saying that
the concept.
I'm saying that it's funny that he wants out. Now all of a sudden this comes out and they're just trying to just smear his name right now. And that's what they try. And it's effective. It's working. Nobody's touching him. Mm-hmm. ESPN's not talking about Deshaun Watson getting traded. They don't talk about that no more. It's like more about the sex allegations now.
So let me ask you this. Even if it's got a motive, is it still not deserving to be, like, if he is guilty of these things, should it still not? I know
he's guilty of things, yeah, but I just think that, again, it just calls you pause for concern to go, that's where would that have brought it up if you still was happy with the Texans?
Sure.
Probably not. So again, I'm gonna be 40 years old. I've lived life. It's kind of like it's kind of like that red pill, blue pill, Matrix thing. Like
you see it coming.
You see it come. I've seen this all the time. I'm a very cynical person. Again, I see this. I'm like, it's a pattern, bro. If he was happy with the Texans, this would never came out. Same thing. Prime example. Michael Vick, right? Horrible thing that he did with the dogs, right? He could have easily have swept it under the rug because he said it in an interview, and the owner of the Atlanta Falcons said, hey, I called him. I said, hey, man, did you kill these dogs? And he said on the phone to the owner, the guy's writing the checks, said no. He could have easily got rid of that story by him just lying to the owner, but he didn't. He was honest and said, no, he actually lied. He said, yeah, no. But if he said yes, that story would never got seen the light of day because the guy's a powerful person. These white people that's owners, they're powerful people. They know governors. They obviously know presidents. They can get shit out of your record and, you know what I'm saying, delete stuff like that. So he lied to the owner. If he had told the owner yes, Michael Vick could have still be playing right now. Michael Vick probably would be the greatest quarterback of all time.
They would have gotten ahead of it, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Because he knows people. He's connected, bro. He's connected. This guy's connected. That's what I'm saying.
I buy that. I do buy that theory that if he had been happy with the Texans, that it may not have come out. Because when you see these cases, it starts with the one person, and then all of a sudden there's 20 women who are all just, I guess, decided we're not going to say anything about this.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that's part of the reason why you go forward. There was some speculation as to why Tony Busby posted on Instagram for this. Well, that's one of the things you do is if there is something this heinous happening, like the Cosby situation.
It gives everyone else a chance.
It could inspire people to come forward. It brings people out of the woodwork. Now, maybe even if half those cases were bullshit, you still have 30, 40 cases that might actually be valid of assault, and so it inspires people to come forward.
So did Deshaun actually sexually assault these women, or he proposed sex to them?
So I think it's all of
there's two different things.
Yeah.
People need to clarify that.
So what I've seen is that he groped him. He actually, in one case, he actually exposed himself, tried to touch her with it, with his football trophy. So he's been quite aggressive. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is he at one point he contacted this lady to come back. She said, "All right, I'll come back, but no funny business, just a back rub." So he didn't respond to her. He went to Craigslist or he went to a different app to try to find a different masseuse, and ended up finding the same woman under her personal account.
Oh wow!
And was like, "Hey, my name is Deshaun Watson. I'd like you to come rub, And she's like, we've actually worked together. I just messaged you, told you no funny business. So then he stopped responding to her and went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. He's obviously looking for a certain type. So
let's talk about that piece of it. The other side is dudes. Like when I hear this, I'm like, what were you thinking? Dude, you're famous. What were you doing? Because dudes just like cross lines and they think that they'll just get away with it. And that's the part that we don't want to see.
Well, he's a football player. He's not obviously a rocket scientist. Not a lot of football players are smart.
That's the thing. I mean, some of these guys, they played football in high school, right? They didn't care about academics. They went to college. They were. It's about their career. They like never had a real job.
Right.
They don't have those life skills.
No,
they're just
they don't.
famous.
They're famous
athletes.
for playing a sport.
Right.
So.
But still, you would think that they would understand that you've seen other people go down for this. Why? What are you doing?
I don't understand.
And with your money, why don't you just pay for that?
Correct.
Right.
I think Brandon Schaub mentioned that all he has to do is tweet, "Hey, I'm looking for someone in this zip code to meet me at this address."
Well, that too.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, though.
Well, I mean, not even that address.
That's
but I'm just saying.
No, but your point is, he could have got it for free. Dude who's rich.
No,
he
could have
had women.
I didn't say he's an attractive dude. That's a weird thing for you to jump onto.
So here's the deal, though. He's famous. He's rich, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and again, I'm not
sexiest bald man alive.
Right, exactly. They did whatever. I think that when people are that powerful, they don't want to come off desperate.
Yeah.
Public wise.
Oh, that's a good.
They're gonna be
That's a good
desperate.
perspective.
They have to be desperate in the shadows when nobody's watching.
Sure.
So and that's why he did that. Now
hurt
it's
your
sad.
brand.
It's sad that he is that way, and it's not like he need to go to a sex therapist and get work on that. But the thing about it is, we shouldn't cancel him and just say he's done forever. No, that's bullshit to me. I don't believe in that kind of stuff.
So let's discuss that.
Michael Vick came back after all that.
I
He did was disgusting.
It was.
And but he
To me,
did a lot to.
To me, Vick
turn it
should have
around.
been done though. Like to me, there's certain acts that are so heinous. Like if I knew someone that committed a hate crime, that's in your heart. That's different, right? Like Vick killing dogs, and that sort of thing to me is it's almost like children. I've known people that were not good parents and then were out committing crimes with their kids, and got caught.
Yeah.
And then I have to me that's
I mean,
child
there's-
abuse.
So you're done with the Michael Vick train.
I think it's really hard to say there's some coming back from that level of coldness. Like I'll give you a great example. So my grandparents were they are dog breeders. I have mixed feelings about that. But the people who work on farms and kill livestock, like, you know, we give animals names growing up. We form an emotional attachment. For farmers, there's a coldness, there's a disconnect, and I've seen them just like literally grab a chicken, wring its neck, kill it, start plucking. I'm like, that to me is too cold. Like there's a disconnect between life and a personality.
And there is a difference between that and dogs. They're all animals with life, but people
Way
see
more
dogs
severe.
as like
Yeah.
this is man's
Again,
best
you
friend.
got to think about it again. I don't want to be starting to use race card, but with the black people, we treat dogs differently. You know what I mean? Especially the fight culture.
Interesting.
The fight world is different. Like they fight dogs. That's a thing. So in his mind, he's trying to put the dog out of his misery because the dog's been brutally hurt from all these fights. You know what I mean? I don't think he just walked around and just go, "Oh, here go this cute pup. I'm just gonna strangle you to death." I don't think he was. That's not his
Well,
thing.
I read some stories where it was more than just like a bullet in the head. It was like drowning him and stuff like
Yeah.
it was. And I
No,
get
I-
it.
disconnect.
Again, it's horrific, but I think
Yeah.
these dogs have been deformed from fights.
All right, so let me make an
They were fighting dogs.
And he is a product of his upbringing. He didn't think that this was an inhumane
He grew up
thing.
in that culture of fighting dogs. That was
I
his
don't
thing.
excuse that because
No, God, no.
because murder it's the same thing. They
All
don't
right.
value human life.
So let me make a counter argument. Since you mentioned the race card, since you mentioned a different culture, if that is ingrained in him, then could he ever really make a rehabilitation from that and feel sorry? Or is it really just like, hey, if I want to get my life
I
back
think
on
he
track?
can learn not to do that.
I think so because he did time. He went to prison. I mean, he lost a lot of money behind that. So I think that if he,
So
and he
isn't
said
it-
this publicly, if he could have done it, he would have done it differently. Obviously.
So being cynical, we've acknowledged being cynical. Wouldn't the argument be that he's not really sorry, that he's really just sorry he missed out on all that money? That he's not really rehabilitated, that he's really just sorry because it ruined his career and now he's trying to come back from that? Not that he isn't capable or emotionally the same person to do the exact same thing, but is only not doing it because it could hurt his life.
Well, that's a different kind of
it's
conversation.
a big part of it. I think he realizes that what he did was wrong, but at the time he didn't see that because
Right,
it was
'cause
just
it's
part of
the
his
culture.
It's what they did.
So again, it was part of the whole. He grew up in the hood. He grew up in West Virginia, So that's the hood thing that is in him that you can't. Is the saying that you can't take. You could take out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the dude.
Right.
So that's his. I should use the N word with that saying, but you know what I meant.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. He's a proud of his own environment, but he didn't know you're Michael Vick, the world Michael Vick. You're not Michael Vick from Virginia Tech no more. You're this guy that's playing for the Atlanta Falcons. And again, I can't say this enough. The owner called him up before his house got raided by the FBI. He goes, "Look, did you kill dogs?" Because they gave him the scoop before the FBI went in. It's like, "Look, did you kill dogs? Yes or no?" And he lied because he was afraid to lose his money.
Sure.
So he said, "No, I did not." And if he said yes, I think they will not be talking about the story right now.
You think so?
Absolutely. These white owners have very powerful people. Prime example, McMills
Yeah.
was
No, I
in
agree.
prison for bullshit. Like in the state of Pennsylvania, if you're on probation and you have anything, just a little, if you just say you left and you didn't tell your probation officer or something, you're going back to prison for 10, 15 years for just violating a probation. It didn't matter what it was. So he violated probation because he was doing a gig in New York, I want to say, and his probation officer said, "You violated your probation." And the judge, a black judge, said, "You know what? You're going to go back to prison for 10 years. So he's sitting in prison. And he's friends with the owner of the 76ers, and the 76ers was friends with Robert Kraft, the NFL, New England Patriots owner. Robert Kraft came with the owner of the 76ers to go see McMills, and literally, and I quote, he goes, "This will not do. This is unacceptable." This guy was out of prison a month later.
They're flying him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
A month later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
of
how
course.
powerful these white owners are.
Yeah, absolutely. They're billionaires.
So I guess
So it's possible. It's a thing.
Yeah, I believe you. I mean, I don't disagree. I think you make a valid point. As a side note, I forgot how great this was.
Which one are you drinking?
The tater.
Yeah, me too. I like it.
I need some of that too.
Yeah. So this is. Here, I'll give you this. Go ahead and explain what it is to on the mic. Since I'm
Yeah, so it's basically Tennessee whiskey. It's the brand is Barrel, and it's
I lived in Memphis for a while.
it's a single barrel that we picked. So this is a single barrel.
I'm not
and
a
it's
huge fan-
14-year-old Tennessee whiskey.
I'm not a huge fan of young Dickel, but old Dickel, 14-year-old, 15-year-old Dickel. It's got a lot of tobacco notes, little vitamins.
Oh wow, it's good.
Yeah,
I actually like this better than the Irish whiskey.
Than the Irish whiskey. Yeah. So I think you make a very valid assessment. I guess for me, my line is I think there are some things that are not redeemable.
That's fair.
If it's in your heart, to me, I feel there's a line, and I don't know exactly where that line is. It depends on the situation, but
But
there's
again, you got to always look at people's backgrounds. Always look at where he came from. He came from a impoverished neighborhood. He grew up in the hood. So you have to think about where this kid came from. If he came from a rich background and he was herding dogs, he has no reason to do that. But this kid came up from a place of pain.
Yeah, I think you have to give people a chance to redeem
Yeah,
themselves.
he grew up from a place
because
of pain.
if
He didn't come from a place of privilege. You know what I mean?
Even though it's horrible, I don't excuse the acts. He didn't realize what he was doing. Like, I mean, it's not like you and I would because we didn't grow up that way. It was just they did that. As a kid, you see dog fights, you do it, you want to make money from it. It's a horrible, horrible thing.
He grew up in the
But
hood.
give him a
Again,
chance
that's
to
all he
change.
had was that. So him being a millionaire didn't stop the little kid that's Michael Vick.
So would you say that there's an argument to be had that there's not a line? Like if you come from the hood in a similar situation, impoverished, you're African American or a person of color, whatever your nomer is today, would you say that there's nothing that they could do that couldn't somewhat be redeemable?
No, there's a line.
I mean, there's got to be a line, right?
No, there's a line for everything, obviously.
Yeah.
I think even this one is on the line. If I don't have any problem with you saying no, that's it, unredeemable. I can't support the guy. I said that's okay. That's your right to do that because it's pretty bad what he did.
Sure.
I'm just the guy to just go give you the because I can't be on this show and be the black guy and not understand where he came from.
Sure.
Because again, I grew up in Nigeria. We fought dogs too in Nigeria, so that's why I was like, I understood
a bit of a
where
disconnect.
he came
yeah.
from. I don't agree with the stuff, obviously, but I understand why he did it, and I think that people are not seeing that side of Michael Vick. They're just seeing the famous football player.
I guess that makes
And
sense.
that's the problem. The people just automatically go, oh, he's a football player. He should know better. Yeah, I get that, but we don't do that for other people. Like if somebody, prime example, shooter, mass shooter, especially white shooters, by the way. They always find they humanize these white shooters.
He had a bad day.
Yeah, he had a bad day. He has mental problems. Like, fuck that. He killed like 10 people without missing a beat. You know what I mean?
So to me, there's that line.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We all fight. These white shooters get humanized. And these black people, we get going, oh, he's in the hood. He's supposed to be a criminal. You know, and I feel like it pisses me off. It really does.
We should have more race discussion on the show with you. We should bring you on and do this.
I've been an angry black man. That pisses me the fuck off, man. I'm watching these shooters get humanized. I'm like, really? You gonna the guy that shot the Asian spar?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they go, oh, he has a sex problem. Oh, no, he's not xenophobic. No, he has a sex problem. Cool,
Right.
of course he does.
Right.
It happens. Remember that guy Brock, the rapist? Where
How
it
are we
was
doing
like,
on
but he was
time,
he was a great lacrosse player.
Right.
It's like, okay. One of my favorite memes is it says anytime there's a mass shooting, and then it's just a picture of Betty White.
Betty White, yeah, because I'm Betty White. Yeah, so I'll say this: the comparison you made with Nigeria and raising dogs, different country, different culture, connects the dots more for me because I know that there are some people I know who I know like in China they have that dog eating festival where they literally
That's
will.
insane, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
insane.
Is there really much of a difference between West Virginia and Nigeria and like African countries?
No, I just mean that Q's point that different cultures, there's a disconnect. They don't see all animals the same way,
No.
and
Yeah.
it highlights
No, that's what
my
I'm saying.
disconnect. Like when watching my grandparents wring a chicken's neck, to me it's hard to watch.
But
For
do you
them,
still eat
it's
chicken though? That's a question.
oh yeah, I do.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Do you still eat chicken? The chicken is good.
All right, so we're running out of time. I just wanted to. We got 60 seconds left. Where can people find you? What's going on? Give them another spiel about it all, and thanks for coming.
So you guys can find me at Ku Egenti KU, first name, last name Egenti EGENTI. I'm on all social media platform, and you can subscribe to my talk show called Standing Room Only TV show on Facebook. We're going to be expanding to YouTube soon. Yeah, that's about it. Find me
Yeah,
there.
I'd love to have you back on. I know we've got quite a few things planned over the next couple of months, and I got more I want to argue with you about.
Dude, I'm ready, man.
All right,
This is
man.
why we do it.
Cheers, guys. Talk to you soon.
Salute.
Balcone's first ever year-round bourbon was an inspiration. It all had to work together. A blend of carefully selected ingredients, Texas-sized pot stills, and creative people determined to find the absolute best way to usher a new whiskey along. When you discover how it pairs with a meaningful moment, suddenly the feeling of drinking great whiskey becomes a whole lot more.